and welcome everyone to the second episode of our Flights of Fandom Dragon Age Rebellion. I am your host, Liza, hanging out here for this month, for this flight, going on a little Theodosian escape. And I have some wonderful people with me who will introduce themselves in just a moment. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm used to doing the introductions on my other show and they're different. Yeah, let's start up in the top with Marcy.
Hey y'all, it's me, Marcy, aka Experimental Madness, most places around the internet, including this channel. I'm your resident Twitter cryptid under Marciful. Occasionally you might catch me there, who knows? I'm really excited to get back into more Dragon Age business. Tonight I'm playing Eva Morin, rogue extraordinaire, and reluctant member of a recent bloodbath.
That's a good way to describe it. Hopping on down to Caitlin.
Hello, I'm Caitlin Starling. I'm an author of spooky books such as The Luminous Dead and Yellow Jessamine. I am playing Aolana, a recent sudden apostate who is a little bit traumatized by that change in her fortunes.
Awesome. And hopping on over.
You're gonna make me respond to that?
Yeah,
You're gonna wait and
me?
make me respond to that. The worst. Is it too late to quit?
Hop to it.
No. Hey, what's up, y'all? I am your resident dumpster fire hopper. Hopefully my audio isn't borked this session, but I can be found on, in, around, and underneath the interwebs at Fail Deadly, and that is with a 3 instead of an E because I am a bad person. And I can also be found at the Legend Tree. I use they them pronouns, and tonight I will be playing Fiak, who uses she her pronouns.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, Wesley.
Hi everyone, I'm Wesley. Any pronoun will do. You can find me around the internet, most places, as Horniest Lobster. And tonight I will be continuing to play Joy Kent, the human currently dragging dead bodies out of an inn somewhere.
That's right. Oh God, I forgot about that. All right. So last we left our heroes. The year. Let me double reference my notes so that I don't do the BioWare thing of constantly contradicting myself.
Hey, you just be keeping it in theme.
That's right. It's an homage. It's a pastiche.
It's a fanfic. We're allowed. We have to. Honestly, we really should abide by their shitty record keeping.
The year is 867 Blessed during the Orlesian occupation of Ferelden. The place is Hanleaf. At the mouth of Soldier's Pass. I know there are different places supposedly Hanleaf is. This is where I'm choosing that it is. At the mouth of Soldier's Pass, 3 agents of the Ferelden Rebellion were sent to this town to watch for any potential Orlesian agents taking advantage of the early spring thaw to sneak over the border. Eva, Fiak, and Joy couldn't believe their luck, good or bad, when only a short time into this assignment, a very clearly Orlesian chevalier stumbled into the Tipsy Tusket, the tavern where they had posted up during the storm. Also in the tavern, there were a group of other suspicious characters, a Templar and a mage, traveling in not very good disguise, and accompanied by Orlesian guards. It soon became evident that the Chevalier was there to meet with this Templar and the mage, Aolana. And after some just truly insulting Orlesian behavior, it all became too much, particularly for Fiak, and the situation came to bloody blows. In the midst of the chaos, Aolana decided to turn on the Templar that had been accompanying her with some urging from Eva. And, excuse me, and both the Chevalier and the Templar were dispatched, and the guards were sent running scared into the night. As the blood from the very severe arterial wound that Fiac gave to the Chevalier was spilling out across his signature purple tunic, Eva managed to snatch a letter that was quickly becoming illegible. But she managed to save just one page. And that, I think, is where we left off. So, what would you guys like to do?
We probably can't keep staying here, can we? I think Eva says while she's like sheathing her weapons.
And why not exactly? As Fiac stands up, having just jammed her thumbs through the eyes of this Templar, just kind of wipes it off on the Templar, wipes her hands off on the Templar's tunic. Gore. Just gore.
Straight DA2 style, yes.
I would think that would be painfully obvious. We've made way too much noise here.
Aolana is finally actually looking at what her begging has wrought, and is coming over to stand over Sir Solen and just going, "Oh no, oh no."
Yes, there are two dead bodies in the middle of this. I think one is currently being hefted to be dragged out the door by Joy. There is Lord Armand Delaunay, the Orlesian Chevalier, and Sir Solen, the Templar. Both are very dead. And I believe Fiac was also in the process of helping heft the bodies, and you guys were going to go give them an ignominious burial.
She is making sure that the Templar gets buried.
So are the two of you going to go do that immediately, leaving Eva and Aolana behind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joy, yeah.
Fiac's going. I guess Joy wants to tag along.
All right, we'll start with you two then. Yes, you see this extremely just jacked Avar woman hoisting the Templar up, and a broad, very strong-looking older Ferelden man also kind of hauling along the body of Lord Armand. That was correct, right, Wesley?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And as you open the door, just the rain is sheeting down. The wind is howling through the frostbacks. It's cold and wet, not so much of winter, but of early spring. There's a bit of the thawing in the air, but still it is miserable. It is doing the benefit of washing away a lot of that gore, but you are just immediately soaked through. Yeah, and you guys are heading out to find a good spot for disposal.
Yeah, I guess Fiac's gonna find a shovel. We've been here for a week. I'm sure I know where I can find a shovel.
Sure, yeah.
They have stables here. They gotta have a shovel.
Yeah, Fiac's gonna grab a couple shovels.
Scoop.
Yeah, dead body over one arm. Just grabbing, double fisting with one hand, a couple shovels.
We'll bring it right back.
She's just walking out into the night, into the surrounding is it forested hills around Homleith? I feel like it's forested hills.
I'm going with sort of a semi-alpine, kind of up on the mountain.
I think you can definitely. She looks very determined, Joy, but she definitely like looks somber, which I think you might be semi-familiar with. Fiak doesn't murders a lot. It's very inclined to go to ultra-violence when it comes to Templars or legions, especially Templars, but always kind of like comes down really hard from it.
Sure. Bit theatric with this one, huh?
The gods demands a great deal, and what these ones do in the name of their maker is an abomination.
When you say abomination, you may notice he kind of shivers a little bit, but he'll continue walking. The abominations aren't the Templars, although they are by far free of sin. The eyes, though, I gotta admit, that one was a little dramatic. That one got me a little. I won't lie to you. I was setting you up for the head, but the eyes.
Got to send a message somehow.
What's good as a message if we're gonna bury her 6 feet under?
Oh, we let those two free. They'll spread the word.
Right, the guards that left. You okay now? You good?
I'd like to lie and say that I am. She yeah. She's like,
Sure. I think regardless if Joy thinks you're lying or not, I think he won't follow up regardless. He'll be like, okay, good. And they'll, he'll, unless Fiak has anything left to say, he'll just finish the walk silently, looking for a good place to bury the bodies. Probably, since it's raining and spring is soon and it might be raining hard soon, probably a place where it looks like we could dig maybe a little deeper in case like some extra rainfall comes.
So one quick lore note. I know that Hopper Fiak is choosing to bury this Templar very purposefully, but Joy, you would know that generally speaking in Thedas, nobody buries their dead because then they might come back.
Right.
So I think you may certainly choose to bury the body just to get rid of it completely, but generally speaking, the traditional way of getting rid of a body would be to burn it.
Sure. I thought, if I remember correctly, we said it would be a while before we could get some dry wood. So I think in Joy's head, this is just temporary until we could get some a proper way to. Yeah.
Cool. Just double checking.
Yeah. I don't know if Joy will bring that up, but that's at least what Joy is thinking.
Yeah, that's definitely, Fiak is very deliberately denying this Templar the burning of the Maker or the sky burial of the Avar gods. This is a deliberate fuck you.
Okay.
So that two different motivations.
And begin to dig. It is hard work, but you are both very strong. And in the meantime, back in the Tipsy Tusket, Amin has pulled out a bucket and a mop, and looking a little green, has just started mopping the floor.
Eva comes over and like gestures and like, you've done enough. I can handle the cleanup.
Thank you. I can't say I didn't imagine that man dead, but I didn't think I'd actually have to see it with my own eyes.
Let us pretend that if anyone should ever ask, you didn't see this at all.
I'll do my best.
Eva also pulls out like a couple of extra coins and like slides them over.
She waves her hand. She says, You rid the world of a bad man. I won't take your gold.
Well, it's more for the damage that was caused rather than a bribe, but
She kind of nods
you're getting
reluctantly.
married.
She blushes. That's true, I suppose.
And I take the mop and the bucket of water, and I start going over the blood in the middle of the tavern. I think I look over at Aelana and gesture over to a broom in the corner. It's like, well, you're in this now, aren't you?
So who else is still in the Tipsy Tusket?
Nobody.
Is it just
Everybody
Anine
else
and okay?
failed. There's
So-
one other creature left in
Oh,
left in the
buddy.
tap room. The old Mabari has resumed her place by the fire. But as you are sort of looking around a little uncertainly, Aolana, she kind of slowly gets to her feet, walks over, and just kind of nudges your hip a little bit.
Can I cast heal on the puppy?
She's not injured.
Okay. I
She's
just remember
not
she was
injured, she's
moving
just really
slow
Priorities.
after that. Okay. Well, Aelana is a little bit like, oh, this is a very large animal. I don't get to be around animals very often, but she very gently puts her hand on top of the Mabari's head. But she is kind of looking between Amin and Eva, trying to figure out how screwed she is. Because on one hand, you know, if the Templar had left, she would be very, very, very screwed. But she still doesn't really know what her position is. But she does, once she gives the Mabari a pat, go and get the broom and start to help so that she can talk to Eva perhaps a little bit more quietly. And the first thing that she says is, you know, I'm very sorry, but it would have been much worse if the Templar had been able to leave. And she does not sound particularly confident in that. Her voice is shaking quite a bit.
Oh, I'd say that there was no chance that that Templar was going to leave given my companion's state. But, be that as it may, I'm not necessarily pleased with the additional bloodshed. We're not trying to make a name for ourselves out here. You don't happen to have a spell to make this go faster, do you?
Unfortunately, I don't. The Trank will do all the cleaning in the tower.
Efficient, at least. And she's continuing to mop, and she goes, so, I believe the pleasantries require me to ask for your name first.
Aolana, you're stunningly not scared of me.
Should I be?
Depends, I suppose, on beliefs.
I'm so sorry, your internet connection had a moment there. Can you try again?
It depends on your beliefs.
How well?
Most people would not be comfortable with even a mage who hadn't gotten up and started fighting.
Well, like I said before, you're with us now, so it's not like you're really a mage on the run entirely.
That is a very generous way to look at it. I don't want to cause you any trouble. If I can just get back up to Kinloch Hold without Sir Selen, they might believe me that there was just an accident and then let me back in, and then I won't be any problem at all.
Aelana leans on the broom now, and she's like giving you this like very intense stare with those like slate gray blue eyes. Like she is like boring into you, just like, no, I think you've misunderstood me. You are with us now.
I see that you do understand that that's dangerous. Not just for me, for you, but if, say, any member of the Chantry
If
notices.
And she gives a very slow smile. It looks a little creepy given the circumstance, like she's maybe trying to psych you out just a little bit. You asked about my beliefs. My beliefs are that some people are useful, and that you appeared very useful. And believe me when I say this with entire sincerity, and she pulls out the letter, that I wouldn't have you walk out of here alive with us if I didn't think that. You were meeting this Chevalier for a reason, or your handlers at the very least thought you were valuable, therefore I believe you would be valuable for us, so consider me your new... She almost says a different word and quickly catches herself and says, handler.
Aelana doesn't look particularly pleased at that, but she nods and she says, I understand.
What does this mean? And she pulls out the letter. Liza, do you want me to recap what we found?
Yes, I can also. I'm
Yesterday?
also going to put the letter back up on screen for our viewers.
Oh,
Now,
that might be a better use of our time.
yeah, I was gonna say, dear viewers, the letter is on screen, which you can see. This was the last page. It looks like of a letter found on the Orlesian Chevalier. I'm just giving our dear audience a chance to read it for themselves.
Ooh, fancy, fancy.
But it does, as Eva intimates, bear a suggestion about a mage. Alright. I'm going to take it down so we can see your lovely faces.
Hello.
Hello! Chat, if anyone needs me to put that back up, let me know. I can also just put a link to it in the chat.
All right. So
Might be worth
Aelana,
doing that. Anyways, putting in the link anyways.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
So Aelana takes a moment reading it, and she gets a little frown on her face when she reaches the line about "bring me the other mage," but she doesn't say anything about that quite yet, because who knows if it's actually relevant? It might just be unpleasant to her, but very normal otherwise. She's reading it. She has little flickers of memory of things that she has read about King Calenhad, although of course, since she's Orlesian, she wasn't raised on stories of him. She doesn't think of him as a heroic figure of any sort, just as sort of a weird backwoods legend. But since she has recently come to Kinloch Hold, of course, she has heard of certain things relevant. So she looks up at Eva and says, picking her words with care, that I don't understand the second verse. However, the first does appear to be referring to the armor given to King Calenhad by the Circle of Magi at Kinloch Hold. It was said, if I recall correctly, that as long as he wore it upon Ferelden's soil, no weapon could hurt him. As for the sword, I know less. I have a vague memory of the name, Nemetos, which I don't think that many swords get names if they aren't somewhat special, but I'm sorry, I can't recall anything of what made that sword in particular of such interest, except that it has been lost since, you probably know better than I, the time. It was very close to the beginning of the war.
So trinkets and treasures are what they're really after.
Yes, but perhaps enchanted ones. That would, or at least they believe them to be enchanted. Otherwise, I doubt they would have sent for me. They would have sent for a historian.
They do put much weight in it. And if you're not a historian, then why you?
Perhaps just because I wouldn't have been noticed. I'm new. I was recently transferred. I don't have many political connections within the Ferelden circle, and I am Orlesian, of course, which I'm not sure they would have trusted a Ferelden mage with this. But that's only a guess. They didn't tell me anything. Sir Selene removed me from the tower in the middle of the night, practically. I assumed that she had the proper paperwork filed, but no one told me where we're going or why.
Mysteries on mysteries. But at least that
Yes.
gives us a bit of a heading. So you're not entirely useless. She folds up the letter and pockets it again, going back to mopping up. Well, in your stories, is there any indication of where it was last seen?
My stories, I think they would be more your stories.
You seem to be the expert in them. I left all of my fairy tales behind me a long time ago.
And she's kind of sits and tries to rack her brain, but it is a little bit discombobulated, and she's not coming up with anything immediately. She does say, I do recall that it's a very torrid story. It's actually impressive in a way that it isn't more sung of in Orlais, because I seem to recall betrayals and love affairs and love potions, but I don't recall the details.
At the very least, our contacts would find this very interesting. As I said, you're in the rebellion now.
And she kind of takes a deep breath and nods and puts her head down and keeps sweeping.
All right, I think unless anyone has any other scenes they want to do in the evening, we can cut ahead. But if you guys do, just say the word.
Actually, I'd like to. I think Fiach would, after all this is over and after taking a good old natural Avar shower, is gonna return to the horrifically named inn, which I won't say, but find the wee doggy and express our gratitude.
Yeah, as you walk in, kind of dripping wet, you see the Mabari is asleep in front of the fire, but as you kind of thudding footsteps get closer, one eye opens and she kind of scooches so that there's a little bit of open hearth for you to sit on.
I think, yeah, so Fiac's gonna pull another Mabari crunch out of a belt pouch and feed that to the dog, and then is gonna just kind of scooch up next to her, like maybe to the side of the fireplace proper, and just kind of sit down. And she doesn't think this is over. That's the other thing. There's 2 guards. We don't know where they went. She's gonna sit and watch the door all night.
Yeah, the night grows later. I would like you to make a willpower self-discipline check, please, to try and keep from falling asleep.
I got 2 in that. That's pretty good. That's a 6, a 5, a 3, plus 2, so that is 8, 14, 16.
Yeah, easy enough. You're tired, you worked hard today, you killed 2 people and buried some bodies. That's not nothing, but you kind of sit there, and you feel a quiet strength radiating out from the sleeping Mabari curled up at your side. Every so often, the little club tail will just kind of thud against your leg where she's curled up next to you. But eventually, the pale light of dawn starts filtering through the very narrow, sort of sheltered windows that give a little bit of natural light to this space. And from the kitchen that's sort of like half walled off from this room, you begin to smell the sense of wood smoke and cooking food, and you hear someone who you assume to be Amin bustling around in the kitchen.
Time for a quick dog nap then. And she'll actually let herself fall asleep until busier things are afoot.
Yeah, we see as Fiach lays her head down on the hearthstones at last, the Mabari kind of sits fully up to attention, as if taking over your watch. So the rest of you come to consciousness and walk out to see Fiach just dead asleep on the hearth, curled up next to the Mabari. Yeah, the day is yours. Are you going to try and do anything here in Hunleaf, or do you want to head out?
Eva will gently kick Fiok awake, and say like a quick joke, like, but completely deadpan, just like, could have killed you in your sleep, before she like goes to get breakfast. And I think she pulls out a big, like very thick, looking journal or notebook, and is like dutifully taking notes, as she's like sipping another like hot drink. She is once again fully bundled in like furs and a hood. It's definitely bigger than, like, the sleeves are a lot like bigger than her. She's like half concealed in this. And she'll spend most of her morning scribbling and talking like amicably with Amin and anyone else.
See, I'm gonna, if nothing happens, Fioc's gonna nap, sleep in.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally up to you guys. You're not on like a schedule or anything. I think you know that if you wanted to report this information, the rebellion has been wintering in Redcliffe. So that would be probably where the nearest place you could go reliably for additional information, or to pass off this information, or to take Aelana to the higher ups. Yeah, that would be probably the next logical move. You were told to stay here, but this seems like probably the biggest thing that's going to happen here.
Yeah, I think Eva will push for that, and also explain what Aelana said about the letter.
Yes,
Aelana's
yeah.
just
Oh, sorry,
staying
go
close
ahead.
to Eva all morning, very like making sure her hands are visible at all times. Very clearly, this is how she acted around Sir Solen as well, in terms of like telegraphing every move before she makes it. But otherwise, she isn't talking.
Yeah. And for the record, Eva is being very non-threatening around you. She's just
It's
watching
habit.
you. She's just watching you.
It is traumatized habit.
Yeah, so the two of you see Eva pull out this letter, and you have the opportunity to read it. I would also allow, I think Joy in particular, Eva and Fiak, you could as well, to make me historical lore checks, to
Sure.
see if there's anything that you guys know about Calenhat, or
Sure,
anything
what-
else mentioned in this letter.
What
It's cunning.
cunning, thank you.
I would
It'll be
also allow you to use military lore if you would prefer, Joy, since I know you have a focus in that.
Sure.
12.
Let's see, 9, 10, also 12.
13.
12 if using military lore.
Okay, great. Ba-da-ba-da. All right, and 13. Aelana, do you repeat sort of the context that you gave to Eva, or Eva, are you explaining what Aelana told you as well?
I'll let Aelana speak. I think because she was speaking with some authority on that, I will defer to the person that knows more about it.
Okay.
She's a little bit more confident this time and does a quicker summary of remembering about what the armor was said to do, that the sword may have been magical and was lost relatively recently, and that she does remember something about a very torrid love affair somewhere in the story that may have something to do with this greatest shame or Lady's dark eyes, but that she can't be sure.
Yes. So we can do this one of two ways, my friends, with those results. Either you guys can ask me a question, each, or I can tell you something that I think your character would know. Either way.
I'd vote the second.
Yeah, I'll take the fact.
I think given, yeah, I'd also like to take the second.
Okay, then that's good. I think I'm also going to give you, Aelana, one fact, just because you just took the lore talent. And in terms of your research, I think something you definitely would have come across if you did any reading about this in Kinloch Hold, is that the armor was supposedly made there. And
Yeah, she remembered that.
made specifically out of the water of the lake. Supposedly, King Callan had brought a bowl of water to the Formari every day, and they used it to make a single link in his armor. Or so it is said.
Mages distributing magical enchanted armor is no basis for a system of government.
It's probably actually the thing she heard first as soon as she got there, because I'm sure somebody was still bragging about it. Oh, hey,
Probably.
remember all those ages ago when we did this? Wasn't that cool? Maybe we should do it again. And then the Templar's like, do not do that again.
I think, Joy, what you know, is in recent military history, you know when the sword was lost. Supposedly, after the fall of King Brandel, King Brandel, wait, no, that's the current king. Sorry, checking my timeline
This
here.
is amazing. This is such a good history lesson.
Dang it.
Will there be a pop quiz?
Yeah, you bet your boots there will.
It was made allegedly then in land that was stolen from my ancestors.
King Vanadrin.
Yes, thank you. King Brandel is the current king.
I took notes this today when I did my
Wow.
You guys are on it. Yes.
You are the mage.
King Vanadrin, the former king, was killed and defeated in the Battle of Lothering. And supposedly when his body was recovered, the sword was never found. The armor had supposedly been lost long ago. I don't think anyone ever saw it after Callan had disappeared. But the sword did remain with the royal line until about 40 years ago. And I think you would know that it was considered, particularly by soldiers in Ferelden, to be sort of a rallying banner and a good luck charm. Whether or not it has real magic, you don't know, but people certainly set a lot of stock in it. Fiak, just from your comment earlier, the lore that I will give you, if you would like, is some Avar lore. Alright. So the Avar also have legends about the lake that is called Lake Callanhad. And they believe that it was once the site of the mountain at the center of the world, from which Korth the Mountain Father surveyed the earth and sky. But it was destroyed between a battle between Korth and a mighty serpent, leaving a crater. And when the Lady of the Skies saw that the beautiful mountain was gone, she wept, and her tears filled the crater. So the idea that magic could be worked with it, and that it is inherently tied to the land of what is now Ferelden, I think makes perfect sense to you based on the legends of your people.
I convey that, I think, shockingly elegantly for what you're familiar with Fiax. Fiax tends to be short and kind of blunt, brutal with words as well. she's like you know, she doesn't say a lot, and she says exactly what she means to say. But this is probably one of the most eloquent times you've heard her speak, like using a lot of adjectives and like speaking of these events, just really describing like the depth of like and this experiential thing of the gods.
Alana's eyes like light up with nerd joy of like, oh look, there's another route to explaining why that water could have done something. I wonder what the actual mechanics of it are. But she doesn't say any of that. She's just kind of like, oh.
And Eva, I think what you would know, Callanhad is important for many reasons. Probably the most of which is that it is because of him that Ferelden is a nation. Before that, it was a bunch of warring sort of city-states. And there was... none of the legends particularly agree about it, but all of the histories say that there was some force that Callanhad possessed that made him the ruler who was able to unite and conquer, essentially, Ferelden. there are some older histories that talk about him more as a conqueror than a unifier. And there are definitely some parts of Calenhad's history. He is also the one who allowed the Chantry and the Circle of Magi to more officially take root in Ferelden and its government.
I think Eva remembers more of a conquering version of the story. It's like all blended together with the very old stories that her parents told her before they died. So it's not very well rooted since she's had to like flee Ferelden. But I think the most common one that she like retains from like the bits and pieces she's probably relearned over the years is the conquering narrative and sort of how it all came together.
The other thing I think would be that Calenhad came up from nothing. He was not nobility. Again, there was this sort of like indefinable power about him. And some people in some legends attributed that to his arms and armaments. There's something else, I think, Eva, that is niggling at the back of your mind that you kind of remember, but you can't put your finger on it based on that roll.
Fine. I furiously write down some of those revelations as I'm speaking aloud, and I put a bunch of like question marks with circles as if to be like, I know this, I knew this, where is it? Sort of like to look up later. And I think what happens is like, I think Eva closes her books and stores them in her satchel again. Something like this, real or not, is definitely is the boost that we might need. And certainly we don't need the Orlesians claiming something that belonged to us.
Ilana offers that, if they seem desperate enough to have it, that they would probably fear it falling into your hands instead. They don't tend to like their toys going where they don't belong.
Oh yes, but it doesn't belong to them and we should put it back to its proper owners. And they thought you might be able to help them with that, so I believe that you are instead going to help us with that. I vote we have a change of plans and report back to the rest of the rebellion at Redcliffe. I think this has the potential to be big enough that they might send us to look into it further.
At the very least, we should report that Chevalier was here. At the very least, he'll nod in agreement.
Oh, dunk, y'all. I just forgot something else that you definitely would have noticed, Fiak, that I think might have escaped the attention of the other three, which is that this letter makes reference to the lady. I think for everyone else that might be assumed to be Andraste, or some other unnamed lady, but to you, I think immediately you would interpret that as being the Lady of the Skies.
Aye.
Whether or not that's what it means, I don't know, but I think that would catch your attention in a different way.
For sure. It's yeah. She's deeply tied to the lady.
All right, so are you guys gonna head out?
That's what Eva's voting for.
Joy seconds the vote. The only thing Joy would want to do before they leave is tell someone where those bodies are so they can burn them if we can't get back to do it ourselves. But that doesn't need to be on screen, I think. But just
you tell Fiak that you're going to do that?
Nope. Nope. He definitely does not. He'll just take care of it.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think I think you're definitely able to do that.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay.
I should make sure that the locals know what to say when the Orlesian pigs. I'm trying to figure out what's the proper pejorative here. The frogs. When the frogs come.
The frugs.
The frogs. Frogs. Frogs, everyone. Look, it's raining frogs. No, okay, I'm done here. What do we tell them? What do we want them to say?
Well, Eva told Amin anyway that perhaps they should pretend nothing happened. Like the Chevalier never arrived here.
Fair. All right then.
Yeah, I think here's the little scene I will set for you. We see Joy kind of coming out of the back, talking with Amin, and a man who has just clearly come in from a night out in the forest, carrying like what looks like kind of a line full of, let's say, rabbits. Having come back in from doing some hunting. Joy, you have explained to this man who Amin introduced you as her fiance, Stanton.
Stanton, my man, how's it going?
And you explain to him the situation, and he seems confident that he can make these bodies disappear. And thanks you heartily for keeping Amin safe. And the two of them kind of walk out to bid you farewell. And are so glad that you enjoyed your extremely uneventful stay with them at the Tipsy Tusket. And as the four of you are beginning to leave, you can see, kind of packing up, you see the hearth is empty.
Where did we doggy go?
And from outside, just hear,
Like a warning bark or a distress bark?
like a come on. And as you open the door, you can see that the Mabari has like a little thing of barding that looks like it's probably a little too big now at this point, kind of clutched in its mouth.
We have been chosen.
And you see Stanton and Amin kind of looking a little sad and skeptical, but you hear Amin say, "What kind of Ferelzens would we be if we didn't let the Mabari do what she wanted?"
For once, you see sort of that little, like, very disciplined, unemotive facade crack a little bit as, like, a little giddy smile kind of peeks through, and she, like, goes over to the dog and does it's like, yeah, well, we could always use another little warrior, couldn't we? Isn't that right? Yes, we could. Yes, I think it will do us nicely.
Fiok looks a little bit alarmed, and very, very serious, and as with the opposite gravitas, with the most intense gravitas possible, opposite of what Eva's doing. She gives like a heavy nod to this dog, and then helps it put the barding on.
Yeah, it's clearly from when it was younger and more muscular, but you're able to tighten it up a little bit, and you can see that the leather is worked with little white flowers, and you see Amin kind of walks up to you handing, I guess I'm picturing like basically like a little picnic lunch that she made for you guys, and says, "Her name is Snowdrop."
Okay, yep, that's good. Love it.
Good name. A name for battle, little one. You smack of the breath of Hakon. and the wind of the lady. And she just gives like a big fucking full dinner plate sized hand, just head pet to this dog.
I can hear that little Foley music from DAI Agent Acquired.
Yep. I'm putting the stat block for Snowdrop in the Discord
Yes.
chat, so you guys can take care of managing Snowdrop.
Oh my god. Yes. This is so exciting.
I think Joy will say to Amin and Stanton, we'll have her back in time for the wedding, and he'll extend out the handshake.
Yeah. Stanton very gravely shakes your hand, and after a second, Amin just kind of puts an arm around each of you, kind of doing a little like triple hug thing. And you can see Stanton clearly looks very uncomfortable.
Yeah, Joy was not. Joy was
I think
not.
I know exactly what he looks like. If I had to hazard a guess, is he kind of like?
No, Amin's got the hair.
No, I meant the awkward, like standing back, idle animation.
Yes. The I'm rubbing the back of my neck because I'm uncomfortable.
I hate
Yes,
this.
we all know it. We all love it.
I hate this.
You're welcome.
Man, some people are going to be a little bit lost at us being weirdly into a random NPC's body behavior.
I care a lot about their future. I'm personally invested in it.
It's of course deeply important.
So you guys set off down the mountain. So I have a question for you guys. You can take the less direct but probably less observed route to Redcliffe, or you can take the most direct route, but this will lead you quite close to Edge Hall, which, as we discussed previously, is kind of the Orlesian stronghold in the area. You're a pretty small party, but it's kind of up to you.
How much? Like, are we talking like an extra day or two?
I think
or...
probably an extra 3 days.
Oh, okay.
I think your resident rogue will obviously say, let's not go to Edgehall. It is a silly place. And that is the end of all of my Monty Python references. I'll start a jar for it.
It's cute because that's a fucking lie. So start a jar.
Yeah. Everybody take a drink. I know it's not happy hour.
I'm
Especially
running
you,
this game,
Chad.
so we might as well. Yeah, as long as Chat drinks extra, I don't care.
That's how I ended up committing to a tattoo. Be careful, Chad.
Oh boy.
Watch yourself, McCoy.
Next thing you know, you're getting a Noel Patrick Harris tattoo, and
That's a different show. That's a different show.
Oh my god!
Don't cross the streams. Literally. Yeah. Aoife will vote to take the quieter route, especially now that we have an apostate with us. You just have a great walking stick.
It's a great walking stick, but also I don't like being around people. I agree. We shouldn't go near any people. No people.
relevant prop. The less direct route, does it go through the mountains?
No.
Fuck.
It actually goes down kind of by the lake shore. The road is still more populated, but it's kind of, in that way, it's kind of more discreet. The faster way would be like sort of cutting through the woods and going cross country. But it would take you pretty much straight past Edge Hall.
I see no reason to go closer to the enemy than is necessary.
Oh, let's get walking.
All right. So you guys are heading down. We're going to sort of do a little travel montage.
I have a little thing I want to do right while we're setting off, which is
Please.
basically that Aelana catches up to Fiak and doesn't quite like touch her elbow, is a little bit hesitant, more so than she was during combat, but does try and catch her eye and say, thank you for handling what I couldn't.
But of course, it's just justice and the God's will. Just We should follow that one. That's all the guidance you need. And she points at the Mabari.
Aelon looks at the Mabari, looks up at Fiak, and it's just okay, but also, not many people would have done that for somebody like me. So, thank you for only making me a murderer by proxy instead of an actual.
I think that this just goes completely over Fiak. Like, Fiak is very tall, and this goes over her head. I don't think she really realizes what you're talking about. The magey bit is just which is what Hopper thinks you're talking about. Fiak is just like, kind of like, yeah.
Halo is still very confused about how chill everyone is with the mage, but she's starting to realize that maybe this is a good thing and not a bad thing. So.
All right then, onwards to the lake.
I just saw flashing across the screen there, like a +5 approval, a +5 approval.
Wait, can we get the sound effect? Can we get the sound effect?
I'm sorry. I would have put together a soundboard, but I was busy. It's like I had to run a game still.
Whoa.
Oh, I don't know what that's like. I've never run a game, played in a game, run a game again in the same day.
You're a monster.
I am a masochist, so yes.
So you guys head down towards the lake. I would like someone to go ahead and make me. Let's see, what kind of test is this going to be? I think it's probably going to be either a tracking test or a natural, no, it would be a navigation test. I would accept either tracking or navigation.
What about scouting?
You did that one?
Just out of curiosity.
I don't see that as an ability focus.
Oh no, it's a talent.
Yeah. I would let you I'll give you a bonus for having that talent. Sure, why not?
What's it in?
If you would like it to be navigation, it is cunning. If you would like it to be tracking, it's perception. I think navigation makes more sense. It's like...
So that's cunning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the bonus that you're giving me?
+2, just as if you had a focus.
Cool. Ooh, 2 6s.
Ooh.
13. 18.
Very nice. Just out of curiosity, what was your dragon die?
It was the 6.
I'm just curious about exploration stunts to see if there's anything cool I can give you in this particular moment. Please hold.
It's just the loading music from Dragon Age Origins.
I am busy.
It's the thing dotting across the map. Yeah.
So, are we gonna get a random encounter with the blood splotch? Is that what's about to happen?
How dare you steal my thunder? You're attacked by a sexy Antivan crow.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I mean, do you guys? How do you guys get to work? Like every day at like Prospect Park Southwest, I get attacked by this really hot dude, and he's just like, "It's my job to kill you, but I'm so sexy," and I'm just like,
And
"Dude,
they
I have
roll
to
a
get
nat
to work."
20 while sitting in their own blood.
I'm so sorry that I failed to kill you. Perhaps you will
Marry
accept
me.
me working for you and then marry me eventually.
Oh, weird. Mine's like from New Zealand, so maybe I just have a random stalker. I don't know.
I think what I'll say is with that roll, Eva, you are able to you guys are just sort of traveling along the road. You're trying to make as good of time as possible, but you do kind of as you're kind of cresting a rise, you see a mounted company of Orlesian soldiers riding towards you on the road. But with that roll, I would say you're able to hide yourselves. You have the opportunity to hide yourselves off the road.
Get off the road.
Get off the road.
I'll start a
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings jar too.
Why don't you just make a Jar Jar?
Nah, no.
That's a Star Wars.
It's a jar. You put it. Misa gonna put
No.
all the jars.
I
in
won't
one
hear
big
it.
Jar.
I have to have limits. I'm drawing a line in the sand.
That's fine. We can X card that one.
And
think
we've
that's
killed Wesley.
The first
Wesley's
time
down.
in Flights of Fandom anybody has X carded on Jar Jar
if
Binks.
That's
if they were
fair, though.
going to.
If we were going. Oh my god.
All right. What I would like everyone to do really quickly is make a stealth test. You guys will get a +3 bonus to this from Ewa's warning.
In addition to our stat bonus.
Yes.
Ooh.
Let's see
Liza, what
that's
did you
good.
say the bonus was? Sorry, I heard
+3.
+3. Okay, thank you. Heard all of that except for the most important part, which was the
It's not a
number.
dexterity check.
It is. Dexterity stealth.
16.
14. 14 for joy.
17.
14 plus 4 plus 3.
Oh yeah. So you guys all kind of bustle off the road at Eva's warning. And I think Fiak at one point just grabs an entire tree branch and just kind of bends it down in front of where you are all already hidden. As you hear the Orlesians kind of roll past. But yeah, you're making good time. It is a not insignificant journey. I think it's probably a little over a week. That would be my guess. But I want to cut just to a couple of other moments. This is probably actually before these Orlesian soldiers. It's just when you get down from the base of the mountain. I'll say it's a glorious spring day. You're just starting to get the very first shoots of elf fruit beginning to spin off leaves. Perhaps down by the lake shore you see some spindleweed and some dawn lotus.
Nope, everyone stop. I gotta gather this up.
It's time for crafting.
This just turns into us obsessively collecting everything and searching every single area.
I'm sorry,
that we
but there's a
travel
bunch
through.
of sacks by the side of the road.
I'm gonna say Aelana has Chirurgy. She can make a whole bunch of potions.
And this tracks.
But yeah, when you first get down from the mountains, you can just see the silver blue shimmer of Lake Calenhad spread out before you. And I think probably it brings to the forefront of all of your minds the letter and the various stories about this place. And in a lot of ways, this lake is the heart of Ferelden, at least from a geographic standpoint. And while it may look like a rabbit, it is perhaps...
An invasive species?
It is the heart of a dog.
Oh wait, I'm so curious about the rabbits being an invasive species.
I think he means nugs. I mean nugs.
I definitely mean nugs.
Okay.
Nugs aren't above ground yet. That doesn't happen till
Yeah.
Liliana gets
I mean-
Snoopy.
Yeah, an invasive species. Do you
And
know
then it- and
nothing
then it
about the
takes
native
over.
biology of Thedas? Do you have
It's
any
not just
idea what
taken
kind
over.
of havoc a species like that can wreak?
It's not an ordinary bunny rabbit, is it?
The golden nug.
No, it's
They're little, the big hands though on those nugs. Those
We're losing it.
Anyway.
Sorry, I just
Anyhow.
get disturbed whenever I think of those hands.
Well, I have another disturbing thing that I think is probably on Aolana's mind, which is you can't see it, but you know, out in the lake, the circle tower is waiting.
Yeah, if I were going to make a run for it, this would definitely be the time. And possibly she does almost try and leave one night, but
Is it And Liza, you can let me know if I need to make a roll for this, but would Eva, knowing her geography, be watching Aelana a lot closer, let's say on the night that you were thinking of making that run?
So to be fair, it's a long way to the circle tower.
Yeah, it's more that Aelana like sits up or gets up in the middle of the night one night and just sort of stares out at the lake, weighing her options.
And
It's
it's
not
more
really
like-
like she's got her stuff gathered. It's more that she's like, if I'm going to do it, I have to do it now. I don't think I can pull it off, but I can't stop thinking about it.
And for Eva's part, it's more, am I sensing this anxiety radiating off of you?
Here's what I'd say. You can make an empathy test. That's
Awesome.
perception. Just to see what sort of, how strong a vibe you're picking up. And then Caitlin, you
A
can tell
vibe.
her. A vibe.
That's going to be 16.
Okay, so that beats a hard difficulty. So
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to add, or is it just what you said earlier?
That's pretty much all that's just radiating off of her. I don't know if we want to have them talk about it, but it's very clearly that she's looking very sort of wistfully / regretfully.
I think there's just a night, as you described, where you're doing this, and like Eva is watching you, and as she's getting up, because maybe she's transferring the watch over to you, she stands over you and just like with one of those like very penetrating stares is just like, I wouldn't do that. If you're thinking of what I think you might be, that would be ill-advised. And she suddenly, like, without warning, with like the barest flick of like her hand, she just sends a dagger into the nearest tree at like top speed.
That's a large disapproval. Aelana flinches very, very strongly and sort of ducks her head and in Orlesian sort of reflexively apologizes and says that she won't go. And that she didn't mean it.
Get some sleep. We still have quite a morning ahead of us, and I'd hate for you to be tired. She retrieves the dagger and walks off. If anyone saw that, they are more than welcome to. She was not hiding this.
I feel like at some point during this journey, Fialk would definitely spar with Joy, if Joy felt so inclined, probably with spears.
Always.
Like leather, probably keeps some leather little scabbard thingies for, personal safety.
Sure.
Yeah, I kind of picture that there's like, that's like there's kind of, do you think there's a routine? I feel like there might be like a break after eating and then by the fire doing like sparring, like swirly spear bullshit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. They got drills, they do some sparring.
Yeah.
Sharpen before and after, just even though there's protective on it, it's just if you establish a routine, it becomes habit. If it's a habit, you improve.
Your connection with the spirit of the weapon or your weird habit thing. Which I think is like this constant argument too. Like, Fialk's like, you must listen to the spirits around you. And Joy's like, or we could do this specific technical smart thing.
Right.
No, spirits, the gods talk through everything.
And they'll talk to you faster if you practice.
You know what, old man, you have been doing this for a lot longer than I have. Fair enough.
How old do you think I am, Fialk?
Like, how old do you look? How old does Joy look?
Joy probably looks. Joy's in his 30s, like mid 30s. He probably looks mid to late 40s, though.
You're in your dusk years, are you not? 50,
30,
60?
36, 60.
It's okay to be modest.
Do you see
Joy.
any grays?
I just assumed you put the berries and the dyes in them. You're so
All right,
frail.
pick up your spear. Pick up your spear. Let's listen to the spirits. Let's listen to the spirits. Ugh.
The spirits
Oh, fuck.
Anyway, sorry.
Put a jar in the jar jar.
Yeah, so you guys are traveling along things. You do pass some other sort of caravans on the road. You occasionally spot boats out on the lake. And at one point, you're getting close to the end of Red Cliff, and you have been seeing some deep ruts in the road that look relatively fresh. I'm gonna say it's afternoon, and you hear, as you kind of are seeing a little bit of smoke from a small hamlet on the horizon. You hear a merchant calling out. Fine dwarven crafts.
I will kill you myself.
No.
I will manifest out of this screen.
Oh, fuck.
Are they direct from Orzammar?
They sure are. I
I love that was
this road goes straight to Orzammar. I couldn't not.
an instant visceral reaction from everyone.
Dwarven crafts.
Calm yourself, center yourself, and put a jar in the jar jar.
No.
Yeah. So you can see there's a dwarven merchant hawking some wares by the side of the road. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I'm more upset that I didn't predict that. I know, right? Be disappointed in me.
I think one thing that you do notice, I would like, why don't each of you tell me something you're trying to accomplish over the course of this journey? Because we have like a week, like, it could be something like listening for rumors or trying to decipher any further meaning in that letter or getting to know one of your companions better or hunting along the way, it's sort of up to you guys.
I know exactly what Fioc's doing.
Hit me
She's
up.
doing alongside sparring with Joy. She's doing drills with Snowdrop.
Yes, absolutely. You can definitely train. You can tell Snowdrop's teeth are a little worn down. You've started off giving her meat, but eventually she decides that KP is really more her thing. Just licking all the bowls and plates once you guys are done with them. As you'll see from the stat block I sent you, her bite is pretty whatever. But I think it's more like tactical training with her, sort of like her getting behind people to trip them or kind of helping herd them in a way that's going to be helpful for you. Absolutely, she is delighted to do that. You can see though that she tends to get tired pretty quickly, especially after kind of walking all day with you guys. She's old.
Those old hips.
Mari.
God, I want to jump through the screen and hug her.
There's nothing purer than an old dog.
Especially an old dog who's just young at heart.
Would you say that you're trying to teach her new tricks?
Listen to the spirits. Now is not the time for murder. That's spirits with a SPEAR dash ITS.
Of
Yeah, go
course.
fuck yourselves. If we haven't lost all our viewers by now, all this should do that.
This is quality content. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so yeah, Fiak, you definitely do spend some time training with Snowdrop, and I think something that you notice, which is definitely different from your experience previously traveling in Ferelden. I think a lot of Ferelden common folk regard you, especially at first, with a certain amount of fear and suspicion, because most of their interaction to date with Avar has likely been with Avar raiding holdings. So they are not necessarily sure what you're doing there, because it's clear that you're not in a raiding party. So I think a lot of the initial reception that you get from people before you strike up a conversation with them is wariness. But you notice that immediately way less when you have Snowdrop with you. It seems like almost universally, if a Mabari is following somebody around and clearly happy to be with them, that seems to go a long way with the Ferelden, sort of just everyday people. Many people even sort of say as much to you as you're trading with people along the road, or even just walking by. You see small children run out to kind of like follow Snowdrop along the road for a couple of paces. And yeah, I think that would definitely be something you would notice as being different from your normal experience traveling.
Yeah, people are not so friendly to an Avar, especially one that looks a little bit fearsome.
Yeah, I would stress I think it's a little more just sort of like wariness and guardedness rather than outright sort of fear. Particularly now that they have a better focus for their potential ire in the Orlesians.
Fair enough.
What are the rest of you trying to accomplish on this journey?
Since we took the road that isn't really going to garner a lot of people and
no, actually it will. This was more people. It's a longer route by land.
I take it back. It is, the information game is on. Eva is listening whenever she can. Since she looks like your average Ferelden, has the most chance of getting any good gossip that she can take back to her contacts. It can be anything minor, really. A lot about the rebellion is just finding out key trade routes, getting supplies in. If there happens to be anything juicy, like an Orlesian coming through randomly, like they got completely sideswiped with that, and she'd like for that not to happen again.
Sure. Make a communication investigation test.
Sure. Where's my communication? Oh, there it is. Ah! Well, I've lost a dice.
Oh no!
I'm gonna check for that one later. I'm just gonna re-roll one of these guys
Sounds good.
second time. 1 and 16. 20.
Wow. Okay. Dang. Is there something in particular you want to know? Just so you know, that is over an impossible. So
I rolled like a
Ask me a
5, a
question.
6, and a 5. So there were some choice numbers in there, and I have a high communication bump. Did I do my math incorrectly? Somebody can correct me if I did.
That's
I
17
don't trust
on
my
the
math.
dice. So if you have a 3 in communication,
I have
then
a
that
4.
would be 20. So 21.
21. I lied.
All right. Well, that is
I did my math wrong, but better. Oh boy, I didn't think I would get that high. So I think what she really wants is, really is knowledge on Orlesian movements, but really in particular, like anything that's happening within Ferelden, like Redcliffe is kind of an interesting spot currently in the battle that they're facing. And anything that could give them an edge is something that Eva wants.
All right. So here are the things that I think you learn. And you don't learn these all at once. It sort of comes in drips and drabs along the route. People know that the rebellion is in Redcliffe. Like, Redcliffe hasn't fallen to the Orlesians at this point. Arl Rendorn, not Rendon, like Rendon Howe. Rendorn, real person, I promise. Relatively young, but people are kind of hoping that he will be able to help the king and the princess kind of rally and hold out. But you get the sense that it was a hard winter, and people are tired of fighting. The spirit of the people seems pretty worn down, and you see signs of submission to the Orlesian occupation everywhere. I think you see fewer signs of the violent oppression from the Orlesians and more just sort of the acceptance, particularly at the start of your journey, closer to Edge Hall. It just seems like people have given up. The closer you get to Redcliffe, the less like that it seems, but people look thin, people look tired, people look scared. And less than you have over the last 2 years or so do you hear people talking about the king. Surprisingly, you hear more people talking about, you kind of get the sense that people feel like King Brandel has kind of failed. Like if he was gonna do something, he would have by this point. You hear a couple of people say like, yeah, what about the princess? And everyone's, oh, she's a kid. And it seems like people are pretty discouraged. But still have some sort of stock set in the Theron bloodline. Like, if they have some hope, that's where they're putting it. And then in terms of your other question, as you draw very close to Redcliffe, kind of coming in through the very, let's see, it would be, I think, the northwestern part of the hinterlands. Not even quite, because the hinterlands are off to the southeast. So just coming into Redcliffe from the northwest, probably along the west road, you hear from a couple of people just whispers that a band of Orlesians came this way. Not a large group. I think someone who even just sort of observed that they were Orlesians, overhearing them talking, and you're able to sort of wheedle a sweet bit of info with that roll out of. They were led by a woman, who they noticed had a signet ring, very ornate, beautiful, probably worth more than this person will ever make in their life, with the face of a lion on it. And on a whim, you break the seal off of the letter and show it to them, and they say it's exactly the same. The other thing that you were able to glean, again, because you rolled amazingly, is the woman had another woman with her, kind of riding alongside, who gave them a weird feeling.
Okay.
I think particularly what this person says, I'm gonna say it's like an old lady who like sits like knitting outside of her house and watches everything that goes by on the road, like that kind of like.
All right.
When she looked at me, it was like all the blood in my veins went cold. Granted, blood in my veins is cold most of the time, especially in the winter.
I think Eva takes all of that down into her sheaf of notes, for sure, and would definitely report back to everyone else about the signet ring. Yeah.
One last thing. Sorry. Just because, she heard a couple of the, people riding with this woman refer to her as your Radiance. Which you would know, well, actually, I don't know if you would know any of this. That's the information you have. I don't think you would necessarily know that.
Marcy's got some ideas. All right. Into the notebook it goes, all of it.
All right. Aolana, Joy, what are the two of you hoping to accomplish?
I've got two little things that may or may not have an impact. And you can tell me after the first one if I have still time on the road for the other one. The first one is Aolana is going to try and pay close attention to the people they are passing on the road. She's making small changes to her appearance pretty much daily, trying to both look less like a mage and look maybe less like an
Oh,
elf,
no.
although there's not much she can do about that. She's very small and has very large pointed ears. But she even considers taking down the horn buns. She's not quite there yet, but she is like, she's adjusting how she's wearing her clothing. She's sort of trying to figure out how to walk in a way that isn't, she's been spending all of her time indoors all the time, running up and down stairs and like hovering over books. It's taking some effort, but she's very dedicated to figuring this out.
I would say that Eva would absolutely help you with the clothing. Like, I feel like that's something she would have like noticed right away, seeing you do and being like, "Yep, mm-hmm."
Absolutely. Make me a communication disguise test.
Ooh,
And I'm gonna give you a. Ava, are you? Do you have a focus in disguise?
I don't.
Okay. Then I'm just gonna give you a +1 bonus, Caitlin.
Okay. It's 11.
Okay, that is average. So you're doing okay. I think the other thing about it is like this is probably the most you've ever walked in your life. Like this is just really physically taxing for Aolana. I think by the end of the week you're kind of, a little bit exhausted, but definitely feeling, I think, physically stronger than you've probably ever felt. And like this is definitely the most time outside. You probably got a sunburn.
Huge sunburn.
But I think, from a couple of passersby or from merchants, you're able to get like a hat that you can put on and like some adjustments to your clothes. And I think definitely people still can notice you're an elf, but you're looking a little less obviously, hello, I'm an apostate. I've never left the circle is a little less written on your face.
Yeah, probably unless you start talking about something nerdy and then she's like, what? And just goes full geek mode. But the other thing, if she still has time, is that just around the fire in the evening, she's trying to, she's asking Fiak about Avar stories because she did read some when she came to Ferelden and stop. Don't look at me that way. And it's sort of so far away potentially from what they're doing that it feels like a safe topic of conversation to sort of keep her mind working on something other than the fact that she has been dragooned into a revolutionary force.
Well, if you're talking about being ordered to volunteer, I can tell you about Imhar, the trickster, and all of his many adventures. Or perhaps you'd more like to hear about Sigfrost, the great bear. He's so large, so fat, such a
All of it.
chunker, that at one point, Korth, the god of the mountains, literally mistook him for a fucking mountain. A real big boy.
That's impressive. That is extremely impressive.
Fiak knows a fair amount. It seems like for whatever reason she absorbed a lot of information about the stories of the Avar and the stories of the gods, and is willing to share those things.
Absolutely. Joy, what are you up to?
I think over the course of the trek to Redcliffe, Joy is going to try to start some conversations with Aolana. Maybe small talk at first, but then maybe try just to, because it's not obvious she's not super comfortable. But he's quite curious about life inside the circle. His parents would never talk about it. And he wants to learn about it.
Does he mention his parents?
No. No, he will not. But he'll just ask, I guess, maybe generic questions or like service level questions because he doesn't know anything about it. Like, what do you do on the day to day? Like, how do you join a circle? Like, what's like, what are living quarters like? Just like, I don't know, like mercenary questions, but like he doesn't know anything about it. He just wants to
Like
know.
logistical sort of day to day, like
Sure.
slice of
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
stuff.
And yeah.
She takes a bit to warm up, but she does eventually, she mentions that she was brought to the circle in Orlais where she spent most of her life very young. She doesn't really remember anything before that. She knows some other mages who came a bit later and had maybe more of an adjustment problem. And she also mentions that, circles are very different. When she came to Kinloch Hold, it was both weirdly more strict and way less strict because, the very high upper mages couldn't come and go as they pleased like they can in Orlais. But at the same time, she was allowed more freedom with her research. There was less internal politics going on telling her, oh, you can research that, oh, you can't research that. When she catches herself going into that much detail, though, she does kind of shut down and need to wait for another conversation before she talks about food and
sure, right, yeah,
dormitories. But
yeah. Yeah, nothing like specific or maybe juicy questions, just curiosity questions.
Yeah. She does find it interesting sleeping near fewer than 20 other people without not in a cramped room and without tons of gossip going on every single night.
Right. I think that's maybe the one thing he would comment back on and say, mercenary work's not too much different actually, as far as the sleeping arrangement goes.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really spread out that much in a tower. There's sort of limited space. So it's dormitories unless you are very fancy.
Should just build another floor, right?
Just stretch it out. Just use magic to stretch it out. Stick another floor right in the middle.
There you go.
The Templars don't let them do that. No magical architecture, please.
Yeah, I think that's all Joe will go out of his way to do. Besides, of course, drilling with Fiak.
Absolutely. As I have a question, Eva. Do you you said you shared the information about the seal, that you learned from that woman. Did you share anything else from that encounter?
I was gonna say let's say that all of it seems very relevant to stuff that we've been going through. So she will naturally share the information about the strange woman, the Your Radiance comment. So yeah, for sure.
All right. In that case, I would like Aelana to make me either. It's gonna be a cunning roll. I would accept cultural lore or heraldry.
Oh God, nope. That was all ones.
No.
Oops, all ones. It's a 6 total.
Oops, all ones. It sounds familiar to you from being Orlesian, but you can't put a finger on it. I would say,
Yeah.
Eva, you could also roll. I'm just gonna need a higher result from you because you're not a religion.
And what is this?
It would be cunning, either cultural lore or heraldry.
Oh boy. Okay. Oh. 9.
Okay. That's, I'm afraid, not going to do it.
Nope.
So, yeah, neither of you knows what that means. Aelana, I think it sounds kind of familiar. It's definitely an Orlesian thing. But
I'm distracted by how much my legs hurt.
I've burned my way through a decent number of Templars and Orlesians at this point. It's about a year and a half into our rampage. Any chance Fiok's picked up a little bit of information about that?
It's possible, but the DC for you is going to be even higher just based on your... Yeah, I'll let you
I'm
roll
not
it.
smart, but this is as the gods will. What is that? Intelligence?
Cunning, yeah.
Cunning. That's better. That's 9 plus 11. That's an 11.
Sorry.
Everything's usually
still
covered
going,
in
"Eh."
gore anyways.
Just like, maybe it was no. And then everyone's like, well, maybe it was no.
Just like,
It's very
is it
frustrating.
this? Well, this is a
Here's
word
what
that
I'll
comes
tell
up a
you
lot.
that-
Fromage.
The two of you, all three of you would know, it's not a chantry title.
Okay.
Despite sounding like many of them, it's not generally.
It's like that moment where you can see the other dialogue options, but you don't have enough stats in them, so you can't select it, so you know you're missing out.
But yeah, you guys are, I think, all probably discussing this as you crest a hill, and in the lake, in the southern tip of Lake Calenhad, you can see, out on an island, the imposing form of Redcliffe Castle. And sprawling on the shore nearby, a single windmill turning gently in the breeze. The village built on stepped sort of shelves of rock down to the water. You can see Redcliffe, and you pass a rebellion checkpoint. You're easily able to pass it, being, members of the rebellion, and head in to report back. And now that we have arrived in Redcliffe, why don't we take a quick break? We'll be right back to see what this fabled location has in store. Is this the... I was gonna say, it's not the only location we go to in more than one of the games, but it's one of the only ones. I think it's...
Yeah, because you can do Redcliffe and you can
Redcliffe,
you can do it in
Haven,
Origins and Inquisition.
and I would say the Black Emporium, I guess.
Yeah, the Black Emporium. In Ferelden, yeah, because you can just go to the Hinterlands and Inquisition.
Haven.
Haven.
Yeah, Haven.
There you go.
All right. Well, we'll come back to that anyway. All right.
I had to think about that.
We'll see you all momentarily. Don't go away. Hello, and welcome back to the wide and wonderful world of Thedas. Can we talk about my favorite fact is that it's called Thedas?
The Dragon Age setting.
It's so good. So
I
good.
can only aspire to that amount of both brilliance and I don't give a single fuck.
Man, when the acronym hits.
It hits.
So welcome back to the DOS. We find our ragtag band of heroes after a trek across western Ferelden, entering the occupied city of Redcliffe. Village, I guess. It's a town. I don't know. I don't know the difference between sizes of minor metropolitan areas.
Village.
Anyway, entering Redcliffe. I say it is occupied, but not by the Orlesians. Set up all around, there are tents and temporary shelters where the remnants of a fighting force, a ragtag team, the rebel army, has been camped here for the winter. Times, it seems, have been tough. You guys have been gone for probably about a month, maybe a little more than that. Iolana, you've obviously never been here. But yeah, you're walking down the steep hill. You walk sort of over this rickety bridge towards a waterfall. The soldiers on the bridge look too thin and too young and underarmed, but recognize your companions and let you through without issue. The people have a certain raggedness to them, but also seem in somewhat better spirits than many of the others that you passed on the road. There is the sense that this is the true heart of Ferelden, and as many people have said that so long as Redcliffe holds, Ferelden holds. And these people are doing their best to make sure that that happens. However, as you all head in, it's been a long day. It's, I think probably late afternoon at this point. And you sort of head to put down your things and get something to eat at the Gull and Lantern. You can sense, I think, particularly Eva, just because you're particularly attuned to these things, there is a tension in the air today for whatever reason. No one's saying anything that you're particularly picking up on, but that something's up. You don't know what it is though. But yeah, you guys make your way. The tavern looks beautiful. It's fairly newly constructed to put up all of the visiting soldiers. Yeah, you see a view out over the docks towards the castle.
Anyone sense that? Everyone seems a bit on edge.
Is it not usually like this? Doesn't seem any different to me.
Well, everyone's a bit on edge, I grant you, but something feels more intense today.
You guys all sort of sit down at a table in the tavern, and Joy, you immediately notice kind of off in another corner wiping down another table, and then standing up to wipe his brow, you see a human man, graying hair in his late 50s, who you recognize. This is someone you know. This is Aiden.
Sure. Yeah. I'll see him, working, and I'll, tap on the table or the bar that we're at.
Oh, yeah, I imagine you guys are at a table.
Sure. Yeah. And I'll be right back, and I'll head over to Aiden.
Joy,
Aiden.
how are you?
Been interesting few weeks, I'll tell you that. How are things back here doing?
Things are strange. People haven't been coming in and out from the castle the last few days. Or rather, not the people I'd expect, and then more people. Something must be up out there. I haven't heard. Whatever it is, people are keeping it hush.
I see. Did Ava share? Ava did. You did say Ava shared the whispering she heard about the Orlesians walking. Aiden, any whispers around town about Orlesians in the area?
Not that I've heard. But, at least, not any more than the usual,
Sure.
swagger and threats to murder them and fill Lake Calenad with their blood and all that.
Right. Well, the good stuff, obviously. Yeah. All right.
But I did,
hmm?
now that you mention it, I've been feeling a little off the last few nights. Something.
Like something's in the air.
Not even that, just. My dream's been troubled. Like the fade itself is unquiet. I'm not a fancy circle trained. It's been a long time since I had any of that, but
That reminds me, I have someone I need you to meet, but we'll get back to that in a second. Would you say felt maybe a little cold last couple of days?
that could be a word for it. Perhaps. Just something like a pool. Have you ever been in the sea, Joy? Or a river with a strong current?
In a river, yes.
And when the current catch at you?
Hmm.
It's like that.
See, when's your next break, Aiden? I don't want to pull you away.
It's not like the tavern's bustling.
He'll look around to see it's like just our party, then like one or two other people.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, can you take 10 minutes right now then?
He puts the rag down on the table and unties his apron and throws it over his shoulder. I don't see why not. And kind of you see his eyes go wide as you start walking over to the table and you see Snowdrop like under the table.
True. I don't know if you've met my buddy Aiden before, but buddy Aiden, friends. He shares some interesting news about that I think may relate to that feeling you had, Ava, as well as perhaps some of the feelings of coldness you heard on the road. And then, I'll fill in about the weird feeling the last couple of days, that like the weird kind of pull sensation. I'll describe it like the best I can. Maybe Aiden will fill in the feeling detail but a little better. And then how the castle's been like really hush hush, with not the expected people coming in and out the last few days as well.
I try to keep my head down as far as any of the goings on. I don't want to catch the wrong sort of attention, but something's up. I can feel it, and it's not just the unrest in my dreams. Something's wrong.
Aelana perks up at the mention of dreams, and she, in very trying to disguise her accent and failing miserably, asks him, normal nightmares or strange ones?
Let's just say I'm sensitive. The spirits in the Fade are quiet. And I hear it in my dreams. I mean, we all do. It's just a matter of if you know it or not. And I know it.
Aelana kind of, her eyes go a little bit wide, but she doesn't want to be wrong, so she doesn't say anything, but she is a little bit nervous about staying the night now, but also very alert, because she, of course, at this point in her life, knows very well not to ignore interesting dreams.
Whatever were that caused it, they were powerful.
And it came from the castle.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Can you sense where?
Let's just say I'm more an intuitive, teach myself sort of man. Perhaps if we had someone with more training.
Joy will I guess doesn't have a pencil, but tap the table like as a pointing gesture to Aelana.
Aelana goes like oh, she doesn't. She's like, oh gosh, don't point me out. But of course it doesn't. She calms herself and realizes it probably doesn't actually matter in this circumstance.
You see Aiden winks at you, Aelana, and kind of grins, and his sideburn whiskers kind of go out to the side as kind of grins, showing a couple of gap teeth. And I think he kind of looks from side to side and then just rolls up a sleeve and goes, "Your secret's safe with me, girl." And you can see a mark clearly marking him as an apostate.
This is an interesting week of my life. Okay.
And then he kind of rolls it back down. Again, not being like super secretive about it, but also not just advertising it freely. It's clear that whoever this man is, he's very comfortable around Joy. And doesn't feel threatened.
Eva's already thinking about ways she can get herself into that castle.
Aye. Fioc's cutting up little bits of meat, tiny slivers, and feeding them to Snowdrop.
I think Snowdrop at this point kind of also just stands up and just takes one of the mugs of beer, pulls it down to the floor.
Love this dog.
Incredible. Aelana asked Aiden if there's. He said that there wasn't a particular location, but is there a particular time of day except for, like, aside from when you're asleep? But is it like late night?
I felt
early?
it the one night.
Okay.
It was like a tug. I know people say this about everything that seems sinister, but if I had to wager, I'd say it were blood magic.
Don't like that.
Do not like that at all.
Yeah, I think Eva visibly has a look of not fright, but a little bit of horror.
Aiden doesn't necessarily, I think, seem overly concerned by the idea. Sort of thinking about it. Just it seems more like a judicious, thoughtful.
Well, it's we either deal with this or we move on and find another way to be useful. I particularly don't care too much.
We haven't made contact yet.
It does seem like it should be our priority.
I'm getting you on record, but if something strange is going on in Redcliffe, I should like to very much figure out what that is. If our contacts are compromised, well, then we really are on our own.
Good luck finding the higher-ups. A lot of people have been sent out the last few days. Again, don't know much. Normally I get all my good gossip here in the tavern, but it's been pretty quiet.
Where do we normally make contact with the higher-ups?
If you're going to make a report with someone higher up, you would probably go to the castle.
Okay.
Joy will turn to Ava.
But they are also sort of stationing people in the chantry sometimes.
Ugh.
I mean, it's the largest building in Redcliffe Village.
Lowlanders afraid to be out beneath the sky and the stars.
Ilana's going to try and phrase this as gently as she can, but she's, does the local chantry keep a contingent of Templars at all?
Let's just say that the revered mother of the Redcliffe Chantry is loyal to the crown first, and the Sunburst Throne second.
I'm assuming Fiok would know whether or not there are Templars.
There are a couple, but Arl Rendorn and the people in the Redcliffe Chantry have an understanding. I think that they have sort of agreed that they are Ferelden's first. And are mostly doing their best to protect the people of Redcliffe.
I do think that a Templar would be more used against a blood mage than I would, is the only reason I ask. That isn't something that they let us take care of amongst ourselves for probably obvious reasons.
I would hope not.
So I don't have any experience in the matter, but of course I will let you know if I pick up on anything.
We can certainly poke around at the very least, as long as we're here.
Get down to the castle then. See what we can find out.
Well, we're not going to accomplish anything sitting around here and waiting for these walls to cave in. The winter to come again. Are we going to do this or are we not?
Of course. Eva gets up and leaves some coin on the table, bundling up the rest of her cloaks.
Yeah, I think, so someone will have to go arrange for a boat to come pick you guys up. I think, Aolana, this is the first time you've ever really gotten to, like, be in a town. Just, like, unescorted.
Yeah.
And it's, it's an unusual town in this particular moment, but it's still sort of a town. And I think, if there's anything else you guys want to do before you head to the castle or attempt to do so, or if you want to see if anyone else is around.
Do we ever get material support?
Oh yeah, there's a quartermaster who is here in the village.
I think it might be a good idea to drop in on our fine upstanding friends. What's his face? The one with the Ferelden-y looking face. Ow. That hurt. Yeah. What's his name? Or her name?
His name is Gildoran.
Gildoran.
Yeah,
Well, let's go visit our old friend Gildoran. I'm sure he'll love to have a nice knock on the door.
It often takes some time to arrange for a boat to take you, like, to and from the castle. So it might be best if one of you kind of goes to arrange that while the rest of you go to the quartermaster.
Joe will go arrange the boat.
Okay.
Unless anyone else wants to for a specific reason. But otherwise, Joe will go take care of that.
All right, cool. So and actually, I guess you can just do it when you get back. I don't know that it has to be contiguous. I don't know why I'm trying to separate you. I don't know. Don't ask me. So yeah, you guys are sort of wandering around. There is a small marketplace. There's some stuff from the surrounding sort of farms in the hinterlands. The Redcliffe farms, maybe. Maybe.
Aelona's got her eyes on some cheese.
Oh, there's
Get it.
There's a wheel of cheese that looks like it could be used as a shield.
And might have been.
How dare.
Yeah, there's definitely some food. You guys can stock up on some road provisions. And as you guys are walking, you hear there's only one that walks around with an axe that big, and it's still not big enough for her ego.
I think you see Fiok whirl and turn to face the voice.
You can see kind of sitting propped up with one leg heavily covered in bandages. You see Gerwin.
Oh, you've gone and done something to your little leggy then, haven't you?
I got mauled by a bear, for your information.
Oh,
And
is
you
that
should
what
see
you're
the
calling
bear.
puppies now? And I think, and then you kind of, I think you actually probably hear Fiok laugh for the first time. But at least Aolana definitely has never heard Fiok laugh before. And it's kind of this just like this kind of awful noise. It's like a kind of a deep, like kind of rumbly laugh, but like because of the extent of the damage to her throat from this massive scar, it's a little bit choked and like gurgly too. And she looks at this, she looks at Gerwin and she goes, I brought you another friend. Look, the Lady of the Skies has sent us another wee beastie. Hopefully this one doesn't maul you. And kind of gives a little slap on Snowdrop's butt.
Yeah, Snowdrops runs forward and just starts licking her face, and Gerwin puts an arm. You can see the other arm also looks pretty messed up. And kind of ruffling her scruff and goes, well, I have to say, most of the time I think Mabaris have good sense, but if you're following around that stone-licking Avar so-and-so, then I might have to question your judgment. And you just hear Snowdrop. Arr. That's right, you stick up for your friends.
Oh my god, I love it so much. Well, I'm not the idiot that goes and starts to tussle with Sigfrost's child. Then am I?
It was an accident. I was stalking some rams, and the bear just happened to cross my hide.
So you're saying you're a bad hunter then?
I'm saying something spooked it. Never seen a bear act like that.
And whereabout did you run into this bear?
Oh, off the East Road.
The East Road, then? How far?
Near the... Yeah, it's north of Winterwatch, I think.
North of Winterwatch. You didn't see anything that might have spooked it then?
Not sure, came charging out of some ravine.
We're all there, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well,
Bad luck too, because second I got back, bled half to death. They wanted me to go out on another mission, but obviously not in this state.
Where were they sending you?
They were sending everyone to the Four Winds. Ah. You, as soon as she says that, you see this like look cross her face, like, oh, I wasn't supposed to say that. Shouldn't have told you that.
oh, what is said to me stayed sealed behind my lips. I'm better at most things than you. But in the interest of old debts, I'm sure you can tell me what's going on. We heard some strange rumors. How are the beasties? How are they doing?
Make me a persuasion test. Communication persuasion.
Aha! Definitely my best stat. Everyone knows the big brawny lass with the axe is the one to do all the talking.
Holy shit, I rolled really well though. It's not that good. It's a 6, a 5, and a 2 plus 1. So that is 11, 13, 14.
That'll do it. She kind of leans forward and kind of grabs you and pulls you down so that the others can't hear. She goes, now this is in strictest confidence, and just because of that debt, mind. They wanted us to take out the hounds. And they gave us some fancy dress to smell. Now I'm no fool. I can read the signs of men as well as the signs of beasts. And she leans even closer. Princess Moira is missing.
Well, it's a real shame about that bear.
Fiac stands back up. And then just kind of like kneels down and like kind of like just kind of like is patting this her fucked up arm a little bit, like clearly like a little bit.
But you wouldn't still have that dress then, would you?
She winks and starts pulling it out of a satchel. You see there's like a more just like a piece of cloth. Looks like maybe like a sleeve or something that could be buttoned onto a dress.
Yeah, Fiac will. Oh my god, why are you guys making me do this? Fiac's gonna try to. Fiac's gonna grab that and very just stuff it into this leather jerkin.
Oh, do I see this?
How hard are you trying to hide this, Fiac?
I think it's more about speed than stealth.
Yeah, I think probably the three of you standing relatively nearby would notice Fiac taking something from this woman after having a whispered conversation. Would you say it was in hushed whispers?
Fiac's whispers are kind of like, I don't know, like the bumblebee the size of a dog. She's a big girl. It's hard, and especially with the throat, she really has to strain to even say much. So everything's a little bit louder than she'd like. I don't know why I went southern there.
I think you see like on Eva's face just like one raised eyebrow, like we will be talking about this later.
And as you pull away, you can feel something else, Gerwin, is pressing into your hand. And you can see that it's just like the tip of a spear, kind of broken off. And she goes, "You see that bear? You put this back where she dropped it." And you can see there's a little bit of like brown fur and blood kind of coated on it. Like, "You kill her for me, eh? And then you'll have another debt that maybe you can cash in."
Well, if she decides to tangle with me, then the gods will it. I'm not one to go hunting after one of the great big chunker's children.
Having violent flashbacks to all
What?
the bears in the hinterlands.
The one scary thing in the entirety of Inquisition.
Oh shit, it's a bear!
Just getting chased by 5 of them because they happen to spawn one after the other.
Oh, it's the worst.
Just
I'm
like-
I
has
just
no
wanted crystal grace for my weird flower crown. Leave me alone.
Yellow's got no clue how big bears are. And so
Oh
the
my
last she
God.
heard, they were mountain sized, and she's like, "What is a bear?"
Very
Like she
exciting
knows
for
she's
you.
heard of bears, but she's never seen a bear. She's seen like drawings of bears, which they're not always accurate either,
Or to scale.
and are not to scale. And so she's getting very concerned about this whole bear situation. Those wounds look not very nice, and her hands are kind of actually itching to maybe repair some of the damage, but she's not gonna risk that in public. Ugh, it does not look good.
All right, then. All right, snowed her up. Say goodbye to the nice lady. I'm sure you'll see her again, assuming she doesn't die from her stupidity. And then Fiak, I don't know, what the fuck is Dragon Age equivalent of finger guns?
Do finger guns.
Yeah.
Fiak gives
People
like
in
a
Dragon Age still got fingers.
yeah. Fiak
Finger staffs.
gives this fine, upstanding woman finger guns.
What was that all about?
Oh, just the everyday stuff. Lowlanders tangling with things they shouldn't. And I think like Eva definitely knows Fiak well enough to
Oh
notice.
yeah. I was gonna let you keep going though.
Oh, thank you. To see that she is craning around, kind of looking to see if who's in sight, who's within hearing.
The chantry is sort of off to the side, but there's, you guys all, the 3 of you know there's a little path that leads off to like a nice overlook where you can look at the castle. Which looks pretty empty.
I could do with some fresh air, a little bit of communion with the lady. Would y'all care to escort me?
Oh no, I just added y'all in there.
Would you care to escort me up there?
Of course, you're still in the process of telling me the very riveting daily ups and downs from your friend.
Oh yes, yeah. So Lowlanders, they know nothing about bears,
And like it just trails off. Like the she keeps talking, it just trails off as we walk up.
I'm just picturing Aolana's face like,
I can talk. Do you guys want to hear me talk smack about
you leak Lowlanders for 5 minutes? Because I can.
Eva will let you go on for just a minute, and so whenever you're ready in due time, and you would like to stop lying to me, before we reach our destination, perhaps.
You mean you want this then?
and first she actually waves it waves it lower for Snowdrop to snuffle.
It seems like we're missing a certain important royal pain. The highest of the Lowlander little girl. I already forgot her name. I'm not exactly one of you so tied up in rank. She's no Thane.
Are you telling me that the princess is missing? Is that what you're saying?
Aye. And what's more,
Terrific.
For how long?
Did she specify?
No, she said she got back like 3 days ago and pretty much, or like 2 days ago, and pretty much immediately they wanted her to go back out because she was a really good hunter, but she was in no condition to do it.
Gerwin said, yeah. So like Gerwin said 3 days ago when she returned with those injuries, they still tried to send her and the hounds out with that, seeking her.
I wonder what this has to do with what we heard on the road. If anything at all.
She said they've scattered them to the winds, which I know you and your folk use as a bad omen. Unless I miss my mark.
In this particular sense, I wonder if they just mean they've sent the best trackers out in all directions in order to find her.
I mean, they don't know where she might be going.
A missing
They don't have a place
princess
to start.
and a stranger on the road. And suspicious omens here. I don't believe in coincidences.
Timing's too good. Can't be a coincidence.
There is no such thing as coincidence. There is fate and the work of the gods. We should look around us to see what they are saying.
Indeed. I believe I'm forced to agree with you.
I have a question for the three of you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just something you can decide. What interaction, if any, in the time that you've been with the rebellion, have you had with Princess Moira? She's about probably 14 or 15 at this point.
Are we that high up that we would have any interaction?
I mean, I think that as a young person, like, she's training with the soldiers, like, she's training to be a fighter. You know, and it could just be like, I saw her one time, or we sparred together. I don't know. I was just curious, or like what your opinion and impression of her is.
It's entirely possible Fiok interacted with her, but she wouldn't have treated her as any different than any of these others.
I would also say it's possible that Eva has spoken with her maybe once or twice. I mean, in her usual flat affect, but definitely with respect as somebody who is, it's good, like, she's probably commenting after a sparring session, it's good to see somebody training, getting ready for their position in life, like more like advice than anything else.
You know, I think honestly, Eva, you might actually be the person who would be the most likely to have spent any time with her, being, you know,
Nobility?
from a noble family.
Yeah.
Like, you may have been invited to, like, dine in the castle from time to time.
Yeah, I think, let me revise that. I'll lean in it even harder to that, is that, like, Eva very much being slightly older is clearly sort of not guiding her, like she has any vested interest in that, but supportive in terms of honing her warrior skills and also like learning how to lead. Like, all of these things are very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Moira's in her mid-teens, fairly precocious. You know, definitely a little hot-headed. I think you would know that. What about Joy? Do you think he's had any interaction with the princess?
I would say I think it would make sense to maybe have seen her or worked with her indirectly, like while training some of the younger folks, probably with spears. But I wouldn't. You know, if anything, maybe just like, oh, like hold it a little higher. Probably never like a conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think all of you have at the very least, like seen her, and been in the same room. Obviously, again, sorry, except for Aolana. But yeah, you know, just sort of long, flowing blonde hair, the blue eyes, very, very, the picture of the Theron line. Yeah.
I think Eva now more than ever wants to get to the contacts at the castle.
And could we see the dock from here?
Yeah, probably if you try hard and believe in yourself.
Okay.
What do your old eyes see?
He's gonna glare over. Joe's just trying to see if like any boats have arrived.
There are a couple of what look like fishing boats. But you're not seeing a lot of transit back and forth from the castle, and I think you're probably thinking like, yeah, they sent some people out, but they're also like probably not letting a lot of people leave in case she's hidden somewhere in the cat. Like they're probably doing a like top to bottom search. Redcliffe Castle is big. You know,
Yes.
it could be that you know something happened to her. Or you get the sense that maybe they're cutting off the option of someone betraying them in their midst,
Sure.
and they're
sure.
trying to see if maybe anyone else is gone. I think Eva, that in particular, that stratagem would immediately become apparent to you.
Yeah, if we're not seeing a boat at this point, like Eva's not above getting a boat herself and just paddling for it.
But there are boats. There's definitely fishing boats on the dock. There's some people down there.
Well then, we have no leads as to the location of the little highborn lady. Shall we?
Yes, I mean, we won't until we reach the higher contacts. And if we can be of use, no doubt they'll send us off on a new mission.
We take a close look at that sleeve.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Is there anything in particular you're trying to ascertain?
It was just interesting that they put people in outfits to go searching, and I don't know if that's just to pass or
No,
Legion.
they gave it to them for the scent, for like a
Oh,
dog
for the
to
scent.
track
Okay.
her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was
Gerwin,
distracted by the bears.
yeah, Gerwin's a hound master, Mabari trainer. Ah, well, shall we then? Seems all roads lead to the higher ups.
All right. So you guys are walking down to the docks.
Mhm.
Yeah, you all head in that direction, walking down back through the village. And again, that sort of sense of the something's wrong, and you get the sense that maybe not everybody knows what's wrong, which is why you were getting that sort of weird, uncertain sense earlier. But you make your way down to the docks. A couple of boats are bobbing in the water. Again, look mostly like fisher folk. And yeah, as you're walking kind of onto the docks, Eva, you're walking in the back of the group. And you just feel like a pebble or something just kind of ping off of the back of your head.
I turn.
Leaning against kind of a tree in the shade, you can see there is an elven man kind of leaning casually, not looking at you. In fact, very pointedly not looking at you. He's doing the real life equivalent of like whistling and twiddling his thumbs.
Oh, yeah. C2, I'll transit. I have a few of my own little whispers I'd like to confirm before we head over. And I walk over. It's not unusual for Eva to have a couple of contacts scattered throughout villages. This is how she gets her information and is sort of the one who is usually reporting to you guys about where we're going to go next. So I walk over.
Yeah, absolutely. You walk over, there's an elven man. He has sort of like darker brown hair, his skin is a little weathered, sort of about your same age. And he just looks up at you with one very large green elven eye, and he goes, "So, Eva."
Does that ever get old for you?
Never. I thought you were supposed to be in some podunk mountain town. At least that's what I heard.
Things change, especially here.
And it's my good fortune, I suppose. I was just coming through on my way back from Lothering.
And how is Lothering?
Dead end. The whole thing seems to be a dead end. I did get one hint of somebody. Well, that would be telling.
You know I'll find out eventually.
Only if you read the reports.
I do read the reports. I write half of them.
Speaking of which, that's why I took this detour. Special delivery. He kind of makes an obsequious bow, says, "Anything I can take back for you?"
I'm a little jealous heading home. It's blasted cold down here. I have no idea how anyone survives. And she pulls out that notebook and hands it over.
Anything good? You want to give me the highlights? You know I'm gonna read it on the way over.
Oh, there's a few things. It was a bit boring, I will say that. He did kill a chevalier.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna have to mark that down in the point totals.
I doubt it will amount to much in that regard, but have you heard that the princess might be missing?
I heard someone was missing. The princess, huh?
It seems that way. Whispers on the road, talking of a mysterious lady passing through. With quite a title, Her Radiance. Along with an older woman who seems to be making people rather nervous now.
I see.
There's, I would say, quite a lot that makes these people nervous.
Are you sure it was your radiance?
Yes?
Oh, see, because, I also killed a chevalier recently, and, I'm pretty sure that's only a title you use for an emperor or an empress. Not that I'm an expert on Orlesian culture, but I was pretending to be a frightened little rabbit for so long.
Good, I hate that blasted language. Ties up my tongue. Although, so does Ferelden.
Fair enough. I mean, all the Basra are Basra, am I right?
I would love to go back home and be warm for once. But this is my station.
You know, I don't have to leave immediately. I could stick around and keep you warm.
Ekun, we have our place. I don't think I'm going to have much time for that.
Next time. Well, if you're chasing a missing princess, I guess I'm gonna have to get back on the trail of this supposed smuggled shipment of Gatlock.
Somebody has brought Gatlock here.
There's a rumor that somebody did. I haven't found any evidence yet, but the rumors point towards the Circle Tower, so we'll see. We can't get any of those weird Sarabas of theirs getting their hands on it.
I happen to be traveling with one of those Zarabas.
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine. I fear I might be acting a bit like an Overart, and it makes my teeth hurt. It's not my role. Don't like it. Although
Well, you have to pretend to be a lot of things, Isrod.
these bars live in total chaos. But I will not complain. Everything to its proper place.
complain and put it in its proper place anyway.
Well, I'll do that too. I'm sure that you're heading off. We have to go report back in to the rest of the boss.
In the castle?
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Oh, I'll find my way in if they won't let me.
It might be more trouble than it's worth, particularly if your tip is as hot as you say. I'd been trying to get in for the last 2 days.
Really?
Not that I have your cover. Or your stunning good looks.
Thank you. I do my best. How... You think that the Empress might be here? In
Last I
Fandom?
checked, Orlais hasn't had an empress in 100 years. They've got an emperor. They've got tons of those. They've been going through them like water. That's what happens when you put people in charge based on bloodlines. Heck, half of them murdered the others 20 years ago.
So it wouldn't be impossible for someone to just declare themselves an empress because nobody gives any thought to any order here.
I suppose it's possible Orlesians do love titles. And not ones that mean anything.
None of these titles mean anything. I have to get back to the others. Can I give them this information, or is this not for their use?
Which information?
I don't know, your tip that there could be a random empress wandering around.
Oh, sure, just keep the Gatlock on the hush-hush. We don't need these war-happy boss excited about that.
What do you take me for? I know that my name is a big joke, but I'm not that much of a beginner. Bana Heidanakun.
You see him lean back against the tree and start flipping through the book, sort of the last pages first, and then you see his eyes go wide and he goes, "Hey, wait a second.
What?
What's this weird riddle?"
What are you talking about?
I assume you transcribed the...
Yeah, of course I did.
He's pointing at that.
It's a riddle. Not some sort of ancient jargon.
I don't know, just seems weird. I was, I was coming here from Lothering. I was thinking about... Do you remember the Tamacerans were telling us something about Ferelden, and it had to do with this guy Callan had?
Yes, I heard them as a child before I came to my true home, but a conqueror that managed to take the chaos of the Alamari and find some semblance of Basra order.
They said the reason he could do that because he was like us. Like them, I guess.
What, you mean he was Kunari?
No. I'm trying to remember exactly what they said. That he had shared the power of the glorious ones.
Yatashi, you think that Callan has the blood of dragons?
I think they said he drank it, and that's what gave him the power. And all these silly boss who don't know any better thought it was like magic weapons.
Oh, Kozlin. Well, I will take that under advisement.
I don't know, just cryptic riddles can be about more than one thing.
It's fair. Do you think if I can find any dragon-blooded armor, I might get a promotion?
Heck, if you can find a dragon, those stupid Navarans have been hunting them to extinction. I don't think there are any anymore.
Well, we'll see.
If you find an Atashi, you are definitely getting a promotion.
I would like to prove myself to the rest of the Vidathari and to the Ben Hasrath. This 2-year-long mission away from Cunandar has been, I think, enough time, but... And then you just see her sort of take a breath like, I'm not the one that decides how much time that it takes.
Well, our paths came together again. It's gotta be a sign we're headed in the right direction.
I believe so. And there's quite enough of random omens and signs here that make me think none of this is a coincidence at all.
There's no such thing.
No.
Anahedan, Hisrath.
Anahedan. And she goes to catch up with the rest of you.
Meanwhile, on the docks, the three of you are having no luck getting a ship, convincing anyone to take you across. They say anytime they've tried over the last couple of days, they've just been turned away.
Oh, but we are getting across.
They took no for an answer. Seem typical lowlanders.
Is there any way to persuade somebody to get us across?
You could certainly try. Before you do that, however, I would like Aolana. I would like you to make me a magic spirit test, if you
Ooh.
please.
15.
15. All right. Aolana, you're standing there listening to Joy and Fiak kind of try to good cop, bad cop some fisherman into giving them a lift on the boat. I'm assuming that's what's happening. That seems about right.
It's probably more like bad cop, worse cop.
Yeah.
I was about to
fair.
say, I think you were underestimating how downright intimidating. Like the worst I can
assumed
roll
you
on.
were gonna be the bad cop.
I can. My worst possible roll on intimidation is a 10. I
Fair
did that
enough.
last session with 3 1s.
But as the two of them are kind of bargaining, I think you, in the shimmering reflections on the water, and you've been walking for a week, you're really tired. And you just kind of feel yourself kind of drift a little bit. And in sort of this unfocused state, kind of focusing on the water, it's like seeing a bright light in the corner of your vision, or hearing something far away, like the roar of a waterfall. There's powerful magic. Not terrifically far away, but close enough to catch your attention, but not anywhere especially nearby. You would guess probably somewhere within about 10 miles of here.
Okay. Does it feel particularly directed? Like, does it feel like spell work I would be familiar with? Does it feel like unfamiliar spell work, or does it feel like no clue what this is?
It's definitely unfamiliar, but I would say
Okay.
with the role that you got, you get the sense of something. What it feels like is being in a dark room and having someone on the far side crack a door open slightly and let a ray of light through. But as if you were sleeping in that dark room, and it feels bad.
Is it directional at all, or is it just all
Yes.
around? Okay.
Again, I think with that roll, you're pretty sure it is to the southeast.
Okay. She's going to stand there a little bit stunned at first, trying to parse what she's feeling. But as soon as she gets that sort of lock on what direction, she's going to turn straight towards, as if she could see something. Obviously, I'm assuming she can't really see much at all. Is it out away from the lake?
Yes.
Okay.
It is in the direction of what any of your fellows who have been here before could tell you is the hinterlands.
Okay. Very distracted. She's going to reach out and kind of just tug on both Fiok and Joy's elbows and be like, you know, she can't quite articulate what's going on, but she goes, something bad. There's something bad that way, and I can't see it yet. In your creepiest, she's a freaking mage voice.
The orc wants to give a quick look at the Mabari. What's Snowdrop doing?
Just kind of, I think Snowdrop had been braced behind Aolana, who was kind of a little out of it. And then just kind of like looking up at Aolana kind of expectantly.
Where?
And she kind of slowly raises her arm up, pointing. She's like, I don't know how far. It's not here yet. And I don't know if it's moving.
If I'm not if Hopper is not mistaken, is that not where our wee hunter friend encountered a bear?
Definitely the same direction.
Well, Fioc's gonna turn and look at Joy. I think her face is pretty scrunched up and it's a rather nasty mess with that scar running down and look of puzzlement but also determination. Seems like the spirits have let us know where to go. And she gives like a little head jerk in that direction.
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Joy probably like sees Ava walking down to the docks at this point. I'll say, well, you tell her that's a change of plans then.
I guess we don't need a boat anymore.
Yeah, Eva, you stride down the docks and you do see all three of them sort of looking at you, almost expectantly.
So, where's the boat?
No boat.
We don't need a boat where we're going. Tell her what you...
So you
I'm so
you
sorry.
wanted to know?
I'll put a jar in the jar.
You wanted to know if I felt anything. I did. And it's not great.
Something you think is influencing those up at the castle?
I don't know. I don't know if it's connected, but it is very loud. I wasn't even looking for it, and it nearly bowled me over. Like these bears I'm hearing about.
Do you point in the direction that you were just okay?
And it's very consistent. It's not like she's still pointing in the rough same direction. It is every single time that exact point on the horizon.
Yeah, it's kind of like anytime you close your eyes, as if you had been looking at a bright light, you can still kind of see the after image of it. And I think, Aolana, what you would know is it is the after image of a working of strong magic of some sort.
Something just happened over there, and it was strong enough that I can almost see it, whatever it was. And that is not a run-of-the-mill patching up somebody's broken arm sort of discharge. That is something that I have only ever seen after very coordinated efforts within the tower. And I've never seen something obviously from this far away since I was always in the same building, but that is not something normal.
Well, then it seems what we're doing next is abundantly clear.
Congrats, kid. More walking.
And I think that is the perfect line to end this session on.
That was beautiful.
That was perfection. All right, thank you everyone who has tuned in for joining us for our second session. There are twists, there are turns. Who knows what will happen next session? Who else will be revealed to be secretly a Kunari? Who knows?
I fucking hate it. Also, I've never wanted to strangle an NPC and also like be like,
Then
so
I've
much.
done
Vibe I was
my
going
job
for.
right.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're going to do a quick sign off. Make sure to tune into all of our other great shows on Matapot. Starting tomorrow, Happy Hour is doing a very special Legend of Korra, I think a 2-shot this weekend next week, which is going to be awesome. So please tune in for that. What else do we have? We got Starfinder on Saturday. We've got, I think that's it for this week, but check out our full schedule down below. Join us on Discord if you have not already done so. And yeah, players, is there anything else you would like our audience to be aware of for the coming week?
Going around?
Sure, yeah, Marcy.
I'll do my usual spiel of every other Sunday. Both myself and Hopper are in a wonderful little interlude show. We normally do The Hole in the World, an Invisible Sun game, but we are on a bit of a break. We'll be coming back to that in January. But in the meantime, we're doing a marvelous D&D homebrew campaign called Hearthward Bound, where we all play different animal companions trying to find our druid owners. And it is lovely. There are still 2 more episodes left, so tune in next Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time for an absolutely marvelous and shenanigan-filled session. And that's what I've got on my shout-outs.
That'll be Sunday the 22nd, to be specific.
Thank you for dates. Yes.
Wonderful. Wesley, anything you want to plug?
Nope. But I guess if you have the day off tomorrow, enjoy the day off.
Yeah.
People are getting days off?
It's Veterans Day. Yeah, absolutely. Seconded. Hopper?
I'm in the weird position of literally everybody else I know doesn't have the day off. So I'm just like, I guess I'll be at home alone doing writing by myself. I guess. Okay. In outside of that pity party, I am and continue to be Hopper, aka Fail Deadly, aka The Legend Tree, which is also Hearthward Bound is set in my homebrew setting. And there's some fancy stuff coming down the pipeline someday if I ever get off my lazy ass. And I would also throw a shout out to our perpetual friends of the show at Encounter Party. They've just dropped a new episode. I believe they drop a new episode on Tuesdays, which is super nice. And they've just dropped that. So you should go check that out, catch up. It's fucking phenomenal. They're in their 3rd season of this run in the world of Ravnica, and we love them very much.
Indeed. And last but certainly not least, Caitlin, anything our dear viewers should check out, like your amazing books?
Well, luckily they're not time limited. They're just around. I also realized I forgot to plug my social media at the beginning. So if you want to find out more about my books, the fastest way to do that is to look me up on Twitter, where I am at CSEE_Starling, or my website, which is just CaitlinStarling.com. Highly unoriginal, but easy to find. And yeah, so if you want traumatized lesbians in caves, if you want a woman who has not realized how much she's in love with her assistant and is unfortunately now being pursued by a weird poisonous gang-stalking hive mind. Got that too. And I also wrote a Vampire the Masquerade novella that came out a little bit earlier this year. If you want more disaster lesbians, I have a theme. So yeah.
I just want to take this one opportunity to say, I've read, I think almost all of Caitlin's work at this point, and particularly Luminous Dead. Please read it. It's so friggin' good. Yeah. Anyway, stick around for the raid, everybody. Make sure to come join us next week. And oh yeah, and let's just all take a quick moment to commemorate the fact that we didn't mention this last week, but our first stream was on the anniversary of Dragon Age Origins. So.
And that was a complete
Yay.
accident. But as we all know, all things under the Queen are not an accident.
Got Bioware.
And with that, I will take us to the raid. Thanks for sticking around, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Why are you like